Hey everyone, it's Helen from SMB Deal Hunter. Today we have here Chris and Julie Watlin, who we're going to talk about a deal they recently closed through the Pro program. I believe it took them about 6 months from when Chris and Julie started working with us to close. So today we're going to touch on what Chris and Julie were doing before they bought this business, some of the challenges of the search, the deal they ultimately closed on, as well as how post-close acquisition life has been. So let's jump in. Well, first off, Chris and Julie, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. It's good to see you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, excited to see you guys on the other side. Well, let's start with sort of your guys' backgrounds. What were you guys doing before jumping into business buying, and what kind of prompted you to get into business ownership and acquisitions?
Want to go first?
You go first.
All right. So prior to the business acquisition journey for us, I spent 32 years at Ashley Furniture. Long corporate career. Did a lot there. December of 2024, ended up parting ways with Ashley. And it's interesting because about a year prior to my departure there, Julie and I had always had conversations about, how do we control our own destiny? How do we, own something ourselves? And you do all this work and you work so hard, and how do you build the equity for yourself instead of somebody else? And so coincidentally, then Julie's company was acquired in January. I left in December. Her company was acquired in January, and so both of us were out of the corporate world, and we figured this was the time. And we started digging in, and that's when we came across the SMB Deal Hunter, and we joined the program. Um, Spent about the about 5 to 6 months digging in, probably vetted about 200 different businesses before we finally pulled the trigger on the one that we like the most. So
Love that. And while how long had you guys, and Julie, anything to add? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I came from a corporate background as well. I was at Ashley Furniture and then for another startup company. But like Chris said, they were acquired. And so we were kind of, I think we were kind of at this point where we had felt like we had spent so much time building businesses for other people and really wanted to take it on ourselves to build something for ourselves. So that would be, yeah.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. It's a story, I hear a lot, and makes complete sense where you guys were coming from. I'm curious, how long have you guys been kind of already searching on your own, and what progress have you made before joining us?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I think
go ahead.
I think we spent a little bit of time on our own and then feeling like we weren't gaining much traction. And then just because we had come from like these pretty like very demanding roles in the past, and then to, have all this time, really wanted to move quickly. We wanted something to happen very like sooner than later. And so I think you came across Helen pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think we joined. So like my company was sold in January. You left Ashley in December, and then we joined, I think, in February.
Yep.
And then we immediately, yeah. And then we really made looking for, a business our full-time job. So I think every day we would take the spreadsheet that we would get of anything new. A lot of times we were changing the criteria, looking at what we got, and then just trying to, review businesses, look at financials, follow up with brokers. Like it was our full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great to hear. And tell us about maybe some of the deals you guys started looking at, when you joined the program and started doing this more full time.
Yeah, I think we were focused on service-based businesses, construction, things that were recession-proof. Wanted to do a roofing company,
Construction company.
yeah, mediation, a remediation company. And that was actually the first one that we got an LOI on. Was a company up in Pennsylvania. Went through the review with Mark and the team there, and helped us through a lot of different pieces there. We got the LOI out. We didn't get it accepted, but we're all good because we ended up in a good spot. But then that started our series. So it built a little bit of confidence as you get your first LOI out there, and you start talking to the brokers. We had our first interview. That was our first interview with the sellers. So we started to understand what the expectations were from the interview with the sellers, and Mark was our consultant on that on your team, and did a great job of preparing us for that interview. And then we got close to a procurement company in New Jersey, down to the final two there, and then they ultimately decided to go a different direction. So we got close on many different deals. Then we finally had an LOI accepted on an NEMT company, and then through the program and just learning everything that you guys had taught us, was the due diligence was important, and quality of earnings and all the different pieces. And we're a week into the LOI with that one, and the seller comes out with a disclosure that business was off 30 or 40% because they lost a key employee and they lost a bunch of key accounts. And so we backed out and walked away from that deal. And I don't know, I think 2 weeks later, this one popped up. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that I mean, to be honest, I think we thought that we would get something in 3 months. I think that was very ambitious, but I think every step was really, I mean, looking back, it seems like crazy, but like every day we're like, when is something going to happen? We wanted something to happen, but everything was such a good learning for us. I think, just trying to reach out to any business that we're interested, have the conversations with the brokers, feeling comfortable asking different questions, trying to really dig into the finances to the point where, we were starting to review, businesses quicker, like giving yes or no quicker. But, and then, I think feeling really fortunate that 6 months was the time frame. You know what I mean? Now looking back on it, because we felt like, we really waited for something that was the right fit for us. This is about an hour and a half from our home. We didn't need to be really close, but we did want to be within the certain vicinity.
Yep.
And then, also kind of the size of the business for our first acquisition, I would say was perfect.
No, it's great to hear, and definitely a lot of ups and downs. And 6 months is I think very fast in the scheme of things, as you guys probably are understanding now.
Yeah. I think for us, we were just like, we're like,
Yeah, I think I just go back the team from Mubarak did a financial review with us on a roofing company that we were close to on Sarasota.
Yeah.
Did a great job of really explaining a lot of different pieces on the financials for us there, on the good, the bad, and the different pieces with that. And so we ultimately decided not to extend an offer on that after the conversation with him. So your team was very, very helpful in steering us in the right direction, and good deal, bad deal. This one looks good. Reviewing our LOIs, different pieces. It was yeah.
I think it was really helpful. I mean, the community definitely expedited the process for us exponentially, right? Like a lot of people even say to us, like, how did you guys go about this? Different things. And we're like, we joined SMB. Like, I think it was such a big step forward just to learn the process, and then just to have such a good community from the advisors, from those Tuesday calls, to be able to ask questions. And then we would just listen into other people's questions and things that were going on with them. And then it would give us good insight on what we should ask when things would come up. And then, even just being part of such a community, we vetted a business. And then when we talked to Mark, he was like, wait, I vetted this business 6 months ago with someone. And then we found out that there was multiple family members working within the business. That wouldn't have been something we asked out of the gate. And then we asked it on every single business review, because a lot of the service-based industries were a lot of families inundated within the companies. I think it was a lot of support that we wouldn't have gotten any other way.
No, I'm glad to hear it. So that was you already answered my next question basically, but yeah, I was gonna just ask, what were some of the most valuable things you got out of joining us? Maybe share some. You've already shared some specific examples of those challenging moments where you found the program to be helpful, but anything to add in terms of what you felt like were some of the top things you got out of the program?
No, I mean, I think the open the office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays were, extremely valuable. Just listening to everybody else and having your team, review deals and talk them through different pieces that helped us with negotiations, helped us different pieces. Your reference documents that you guys had for the LOI, and then your checklist for post LOI, and you've been talking to the due diligence team, and yeah.
Really
all that stuff was just extremely helpful for that. You're not going to figure out on your own type of thing. So
I thought too, being able to know how much a business is really worth. because it was just like, it was unlike anything else. It wasn't like buying a house. It wasn't like, you know, in any way, because some of the pricing was all over the place. And then you see the financials and the, you know, learning about like the chargebacks and all these different
Yeah,
things.
the
So
ad
just,
backs.
yeah, the ad back, sorry, just like I can always say it, but just say like trying to really know what the value of the business is to make sure that you feel like you're making a fair offer or that, you know, you're paying what the business is really worth at that point in time.
Makes sense. Well, look, I think, I'd love to sort of talk about the business you guys actually ended up acquiring next. Give us a high level overview of the business you ended up acquiring that you're running now. How did you come across it? And maybe share some of the high level deal terms.
Yeah, so or not Biz Buy Sell, BizQuest, one of those. We're just constantly searching for for stuff on there, and came across this we had looked at some med spas. Um, not really the route we wanted to go. We'd seen them in Miami, Orlando, Tampa. Talked to them about, with the injectables and stuff like this. You needed to have certain licensing stuff. Not really a route we wanted to go. Well, then all of a sudden this one popped up that had good financials. Good asking price for it. Established business. So I sent the NDA over, and it wasn't listed with a broker. It was actually listed by the seller. And turns out it was the salt room in Orlando, and it was the first salt room in the United States,
Wow.
established about 14 years ago. The original founder licensed the brand for all of the other salt rooms that are around like Florida in pieces, and she licensed it off, moved to the Panhandle, and sold it to a couple that decided the business wasn't right for them. They had only owned it for 6 months, and they wanted a quick sale. So we ended up structuring the deal. We ended up doing 575 for the purchase with the $75,000 seller note, and $500,000 from cash from us. So we didn't end up going through an SBA. We didn't have time for it. It was a 30. They needed it closed in 35 days because they had another pending deal that they were going to move to. So it was, you close in 35 days or no deal type of thing. So we moved quickly, and yeah.
And for those who maybe have never heard of what a salt room is, what is a salt room?
Go ahead, you cover what was.
So it's a holistic approach to so essentially like salt therapy is you sit in a salt cave and then it's medicinal salt that's put into a generator and then it's kind of air, I'm trying to think of the words right now, like pulverized into the air. So it's, and you breathe it in and it helps with anxiety, stress, sleep issues, asthma, any kind of skin conditions. I would say too, it's also preventative care as well. So it's, it's a holistic approach to healing. Babies as young as 1 month old can come into a salt room. So it's more of a holistic approach instead of medicine. A lot of people that come in, we've had clients that come in that say that they're completely off any kind of asthma steroids or anything like that just by, the salt therapy. And then we also, so we have two adult salt rooms, one kid salt room. We have infrared sauna, acupuncture, colon hydrotherapy, as well as massage and facials.
I'm ready to come.
Yeah, the business
Um,
is doing $1 million a year. It was and on a good trajectory, and so it's got a well-established client base, obviously in that location for 14 years, and so very well known in the community. A lot of repeat clientele. We have an individual that's been coming there literally every day for 14 years. So
that's
as we
crazy. I love that.
look back through, yeah, she's been a loyal customer since it opened. So yeah, it's great when you start talking about established businesses. This one definitely check that box. So.
Yeah, and we think too it's a good fit for us because a lot of opportunity to instill processes, instill technology, also boost from a marketing standpoint to really drive the business. So it was an established business, so it was doing well, but we see the opportunity to kind of grow it, which is really what we were looking for, kind of like this, mid-level business that still had some opportunity for growth.
And what's it been like, since you guys have taken over? How does it feel finally being a business owner? What is day to day like for you guys, and what have you guys been focusing on?
So first and foremost, we had to get staff right. So it all starts with people. So we had to hire some front desk people in place. Some therapists had left under previous ownership. they came back. And so when the ownership changed, so there was a little bit of animosity towards the previous owners. And so when they heard we took over, people were reaching out. And so we hired back some, I think 5 employees that had
Wow.
previously left. Yeah. So
Okay.
we ended up hiring them back, and been great. Then just from there, it was getting marketing under control, understanding what marketing was, what was being done from a marketing perspective, really boosted our Instagram pieces, put some technology in place from an AI perspective. So we've got a web chat tool that works with Instagram, our phone system, all the different stuff. So there's an AI bot that talks to our clients all day, every day. So if they don't want to leave a voicemail, they can just press a button and go right into a text message, and we all see it. So Julie and I see it. All of the front desk staff see it on their computers. So everybody knows what's the chats that are going on, and then anybody can take over a conversation at any time. So that's been a huge plus, helping with booking and getting things going in that direction.
We
What else?
opened on Sundays, which was a big win for us because we were open 6 days a week, and we started opening on Sundays. So we've had some fully booked therapists there. So I feel like that's a big win. And then we're really just focusing on education and client retention. So to your point, like not really knowing the benefits of salt therapy and everything that that has to offer. So really trying to do a lot of education and marketing. And then we just launched 3 membership package plans, kind of like a good, better, best, to try and gain more client retention. And then just working with our front desk staff on sales strategies and what that looks like so that they're, selling appropriately to the clientele.
Wow, a lot has happened.
Yeah.
A lot of that's in process.
Yeah.
And how's it, I think one of the things that people talk about when buying a business is you're buying, you have cash flow coming in day one, and, you have existing customers. How has the business been performing compared to, before you guys acquired it?
Well, it was down, 3 or 4 consecutive months leading up to the sale.
Yeah.
And they had kind of taken their foot off the gas, knowing they were going to sell, stopped marketing, different things like that. So things that you would expect, that if they're going to sell, they're not going to spend any extra money on marketing or blasting the brand out or anything else like that, like Google search or any of those different pieces. So turning a lot of that back on. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think getting that back on. What else?
I mean, I think that sales are good. We've probably been spending a little bit more. We're staffing a little bit more. But I think we're definitely on the uptick. We had lost a therapist for colon hydrotherapy, which is super hard to find, which we didn't know. And that was about 10% of our business. So we have a therapist now going through training. So I think that's going to be a big bounce back. We have like a super long wait list of clients waiting for the service. So I think we're trying to kind of get back on track a little bit there, but I think sales have been consistent, but we've probably been spending a little bit more. But
Yeah,
we're
I
feeling
think,
till the
yeah,
end of the year, that's probably
I
our
think it
plan.
was kind of a purposeful, doing some remodeling things inside of some updates that needed to be done. So,
Salt generator.
and the little things, customer facing. They used to have a specific coffee machine that clients really liked, and talked about how all the time coming in, their kids would have their hot chocolate and stuff. The previous owners took it out. Customers were complaining about it and actually leaving the business because of it. And it's like, now we're there. People are like, thank you for bringing the coffee machine back. And it's little things like that. But, in a spa type of environment, it's a big deal from the environment that you create. And so we've been really focused on, upgrading the look and feel of the business. And yeah, I think, adding Sundays back. She talked about colon hydrotherapy, which again, 10% of the $1 million business, $100,000 for that service last year.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been offered since the therapist that was performing it in March left. And so there's been this huge gap there. So as soon as that gets back on, it's a big initial boost in the business. I think the other big thing for us is if anybody else is buying a business with memberships. If you're buying a membership business where there's recurring revenue, it's a big deal from a recurring revenue perspective. One of the things that we discovered after we closed was that the membership numbers, and we had gotten in and looked at all the different memberships and they sent us stuff, but as we got into the system and we started digging into it, they had done the previous owner and the previous before that, people had done some funny things in the system with suspending memberships and not fully canceling them and different things like that. So what we thought was 390 members paying on a regular basis on a monthly basis was actually only 230 members once we cleaned everything up. So then, but then it just helped us reprioritize, how do we get memberships back to where they were from a high level, which was 3 years ago. But you had lost a membership over the last 3 years. So for us now, it's just how do we get that back? So now we're running an October promotion to bring the memberships back and things like that. So, but there's going to be surprises, no matter how much due diligence you do. I think your team told us that you're going to find stuff that we heard it on the calls all the time. You're going to find stuff after the fact, and yeah, we certainly have.
Yeah, I feel like we're always like too, like this is the worst of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like you guys have been able to manage through it though, which sounds very positive. And how much of the business is from memberships, out of curiosity?
I think the reoccurring revenue
Right,
is
it's like 33%.
Yeah.
35%.
Yeah.
But we would like it to be actually like 50 or 60%. That's kind of the goal.
Yeah.
Got it. I'm also curious, what's it been like working together? I'm guessing this is your guys' first time working together.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
We worked at Ashley Furniture together for a long time too. So
No, it's been great. And then the spa itself is 90 minutes from our home. So we live in Tampa, the spa's in Orlando. So we do have decent management in place. It's well operated. So the manager in place does a great job there. So we're out there 2, 3 times a week. So then we get a lot of windshield time together and working through and talking through all the different stuff. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
We like
And
each
are
other.
you I love that.
We liked each other before and we still like each other. So that's a good thing.
Best case scenario. And
Yeah.
I'm curious, are you guys doing this full time now? Like how have you guys found other jobs? How are you thinking about, where the business fits in?
Right now,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, right now we're doing this full time. I think that the plan is eventually it'll just kind of be me taking point, but right now it's obviously been so helpful to have Chris, especially with all your experience with marketing or owning different things, as I've been more operational and dealing with kind of like staff. But the goal is really for me to kind of transition the business just to me, and then to acquire another business, or to see if there's opportunity to do something similar in another location or something like that.
So coincidentally, it's I'm reviewing Sims and financials today on some construction businesses. So yeah, so as soon as the next one comes along, then maybe I venture that way to a roofing or a construction company, and she runs the spa. So
yeah, but it is.
I love that you're ready for round two. I mean,
Yeah.
it's great that you guys have been able to manage, not being present there day to day and, going in 2 to 3 times a week. It's really solid.
Yeah, we have a really good manager, but it's definitely been a learning for her as well. I think she wants to take on more responsibility, but coaching her up on all of those things to do as well. But she's really cares, which I think is the most important thing.
And is she someone you guys hired in after?
No, so actually, this is like it's like a weird story to even tell. So the day we closed on the business, and then the next day we showed up for training, we found out that the previous owners had fired the manager, the assistant manager, and they only had one front desk person. So we were like hyperventilating. And then they had given big bumps in pay to the remaining one front desk person. And then, just after being there, so then the salt room name is licensed, so it's still owned by the original owner. And she, licensed all the other names, and she's like an advisor. But she was like, we'll talk after you close. So we had our initial call with her, and she was like, I can't believe that they fired the manager. And we were like, well, can we just have a conversation with her? And then we talked to her, and we felt like it was in the best interest of all of us to bring her back, and it's worked out really well. So
Right.
I know sometimes we just can't explain. Like it's not even worth it to harp on it because we feel like it was a win for us in the end.
Yeah.
But it's funny they say like us working together. I went to lunch today with people I used to work with today, and they're like, "How is it with?" And I was like, "Oh, Chris." I was like, he's just like quick and move forward and fall forward with stuff. And I was like, but it's actually good because then stuff happens. Like we're gonna do this by October, we're gonna do this by this, and then you just kind of have to do it. Like you make the commitment to the team, we make the commitment out of the world, and then you have to, which I think is one of the best things. So I think it's a good it's a good balance, right? Because we're
That's
saying,
right.
yeah.
I'm curious, is overall is buying your first business what you guys kind of expected it to be? I want to hear, what you guys came in thinking, buying yourselves, I guess that initial sort of freedom or financial freedom, and all the things you were kind of looking for leaving corporate. Is that what you feel like you guys have gotten? Maybe what you guys sort of maybe missed or didn't expect? Very curious.
I
I
know
think,
my answer.
yeah, I know you're saying. I think for me, it's kind of what I expected. I think the best case scenario is we were whiteboarding all of this stuff out back in January, February, and talking about the type of businesses that we wanted to buy. Um, Feels like we hit the jackpot. It's a good team. It's a business doing over $1 million a year with only 17 employees. You got 12 independent contractors and 5 front desk staff. So it's
Yeah,
a
it's
a
a
good
gym for sure.
good business with established clientele. So we're not so to say we're not out servicing anything for roofs or construction or anything like that. So if this was the first one, I'd say hit a home run with that. We definitely like it, like the people, like the business concept itself. We're ourselves into wellness, doing a lot of different stuff ourselves, so we're kind of drawn to that piece. We do the infrared sauna and the cold plunge and all that different stuff here at our house, and so it's like naturally gravitating towards a wellness type of spa was great, and the fact that it was profitable and established and had the clientele was all great. So, but then your response to
I would never go back to a corporate.
that?
No, I
Yeah.
feel like, I think, it's interesting right now because we're so in the weeds. I think I keep saying to you, like, we can't, we gotta like find the path out of it, you know what I mean, a little bit, because that was always the goal. Our goal was, so we're trying to like empower other people, teach them how those things, that's, I think the best part of too of the distance a little bit. But I think I don't know if it was everything I expected, but I mean, I think that I would say like I like what we're doing, which we probably haven't said for a while with a corporate position. I think too, like the balance to do things when you need to do them. Like, you might have more to do or anything like that, but the balance to do them, kind of on your own timeline, which is nice too.
Yeah,
So yeah.
and I think getting people paid the right way and different things like that, and not having to jump through HR hoops, and knowing that
Yeah, like
you're gonna keep
sure
you're
you
gonna
feel
keep your
good about,
people
yeah.
that are gonna be loyal to the business and different things like that. It was all you know all things that we did, and it's like it's rewarding to see these people respond to that in a positive way as well.
Yeah, I would think too, like being able to really kind of set the tone for the culture that you feel like is best, and then, having that is nice. Yeah.
No, I'm glad to hear it. And I know I want to be sensitive of time, guys, but final question for me is, what would you guys tell someone who's watching this right now, maybe unsure about, maybe buying business or taking the leap to join our program, still kind of feeling a little bit stuck there on making the decision and pulling the trigger. What do you have to kind of say to them? Maybe they were in your shoes a year ago.
Um, I would say to take the leap. If you're, I'd say the advice I'd give people would be don't quit your W-2 job
Yeah.
just yet. I mean, we were in a different
sure.
we were in a different situation. Obviously, both of us left with something, and so don't quit your W-2 job until you know things are right and you're making the money that you think you're going to make. That would be number one. But start the search while you're still employed with whatever it is that you're doing. Number two is join the program. You don't know what you don't know. So being surrounded by the experts that you have, and being in the office hours and listening to the people out there is just it's so educational for people to listen to it, and you can learn from other people's mistakes. You can tap into other people's 10,000 hours, all those different things. So you learn from experts, all those different pieces, and so you can avoid mistakes that you would make if you weren't part of the program. So that would be my first two things: is don't quit the W-2 job, join the SMB program, learn from everybody there, and then start with the business that you're comfortable with. We looked at a lot of different things with bigger ones. that were doing $10 million in business to $2 million for profitability to, to the $1 million business that we ended up buying for $575,000. It was good in the end. I mean, 2.8 multiple on the earnings that it had, but it gave us a good feel, and it was the size that we could manage. And so I would just say, just take on what you think you can manage, because there's going to be surprises. The advice I'd have to tell people is, no matter how much due diligence you do, I heard that over and over again on your calls, and with people saying, no matter what you think you got it all checked out, every box checked, you're going to get surprised by something. And I would just tell people to anticipate that as well. So anything like that?
No, I thought that was good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's great advice, guys. Super excited to continue following along and see where things are, 6 months, a year from now. Maybe you guys will be talking about your second business at that point.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. And love to have you guys, by the way, on the next post-acquisition roundtable. We do them once a quarter. So
All right.
we did one last quarter, and we had, we try to invite people who've recently closed deals just to, talk to everyone else. It's like open Q&A. But yeah, I would love to have both of you on the next one.
We will definitely join. Yeah.
Love that.
And thank you.
Yeah.
No, I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you for, first of all, for just making the program, and then putting together such a kick-ass team that you have that does a good job. That the Tuesdays and Thursdays were great, and then the one-on-ones were, fantastic with no matter who it was. And there's times where we said we had time-sensitive stuff, and you throw it out there, and team would they made themselves available on a Saturday morning or whatever it was. So your team is great. So really appreciate the program that you put together for everybody. So,
and everyone was always so inclusive. No one ever was like intimidating, which I thought was really good, because so much stuff was really new, but you never felt like intimidated to ask questions or to reach out. And there's just so many tools, which was really nice.
No, I'm really glad to hear it. And I'm certainly very lucky, for the team we've been able to build here. And well, really, really appreciate the kind words. So, but yeah, I'm serious, can't wait to see where the next year takes you guys.
Yeah.
And we're excited too.